guess the way this works, I'm learning it myself. But whether you like or dislike, when you subscribe, be sure to hit that bell. When you hit that bell, you'll be notified whenever I upload another volume on commentary. This is volume 2. And, you know, for those who perhaps didn't see the first volume, I'm a playwright, a New York produced playwright, off-Broadway and off-Broadway. Published poet, produced screenwriter, focusing on my life's work, which is the trying to enlighten the world about the real issues pertaining to my beloved Puerto Rico. In particular, the life of Dr. Pedro Campos, but that's for another day. Today, what I really want to focus on, very similar to Volume 1, is women in America, the attack on women in America. And more important than the attack on women in America, the fact that women don't even see or know that they're being attacked. And that's scary. I mean, we all know what Texas did recently regarding the abortion issue. And we know about voting rights, but again, we'll get to voting rights later. I just can't seem to understand why women in this country vote against their interests. And I'll speak to you directly, women. Why? The question I have is why? Why? Why are you voting against your interests? For example, the Republican Party, the grand old party, have proven, specifically this past week, that they don't have women's interests at heart. The Republican Party is basically interested in power. And now that soon in this country, whites will be a minority, there's some panicking going on among white men in power. And what I don't get is how the white women in power and white women that are not in power are subservient to their men. Terrible phrase, but I had to put that in there because I want women to sit up a little bit and realize what's happening. And I'm not trying to patronize, I'm not trying to lecture, but I just can't believe what's going on. I don't understand how people can vote against their own interests. So when the Republican Party guts Roe v. Wade and takes away your right with pertaining to health care, to a safe abortion, a woman's right, and it's almost, when I say a woman's right, statistics that are out there, I think it's like 1 out of every 4 childbearing women of childbearing age, have at one point or another had an abortion. 1 out of 4, think about that. So I don't get it. I don't get how, I don't understand how a woman can ever vote for a Republican Party. That's starting to bother me. I'm trying to think about that. I'm trying to philosophize about that. Because when a woman now, in the next election, even in the California election that's going to be in a few days pertaining to the governor, I don't know how women don't fully understand that by voting Republican now, you are voting against your own self-interest. You're voting against the self-interest of any female in your family. You're voting against the interests of your granddaughter. You're voting against the interests of your mom, your sister. You're just voting against their interests and your own interests. And that puzzles me because when you vote, I believe usually you vote for what's good for you. And I don't get that. I'm trying hard. And I think it's not just me. I would think millions of people in this country are trying to figure out what is it that the Republican Party has? What hold do they have on you that they could do whatever they want with respect to power, cheating, gerrymandering, getting rid of your rights for an abortion, voting rights, and the list goes on and on. I don't quite understand how women don't just stand up, all women, and say, you know, we can't vote for you anymore. because your policies are against my own interests. And I can't condone it anymore. And as soon as women really realize that, the Republicans can cheat all they want. They can change voting laws all they want. They can gerrymander. They can do whatever they want. But there are more women than men in this country. And women got the vote in 1918. And now here we are in 2021 with the next 2022 election. And it's time for all women to tell misogynistic men of power, that enough's enough. Focus on policies that help the constituency. And how dare you take away the right that you have constitutionally, the right that you have for a safe, healthy abortion, particularly when 1 out of 4 of you will have an abortion. People like to make love. Making love is one of the reasons for living. And through making love, a pregnancy happens. And there are a lot of times that a woman says, you know, I'm not sure I can have this baby. We can get into all the different scenarios and reasons. I'm not here to do that. But in whatever scenario or reason it is, whether you're rich or poor, white or black, whether you're, and it's Hispanic, Latina, you know, we're not a race because there are black and white and red and yellow Hispanics. So I don't want to, you know, make that error that a lot of people make. But whether you're Latina or whether you're indigenous, Native American, whether you're rich or poor or even middle class, and you need to have an abortion, you should be able to have a healthy abortion. And Texas figured out a way to go around Roe v. Wade, and they gutted it. And women, you're supporting it. You should be knocking on the Texas Governor Abbott's door and get him to realize. Stand up for him. Someone should stand up for him and say, hey, Governor, stop. And we'll talk about the Supreme Court. I mentioned it a little bit. Yeah. I thought of it's not a funny anecdote. I thought it was funny when I thought about it, but now I think about it, it's pretty serious. There are some very rich women in this country that think that they are protected, irrespective of whatever happens. And what I mean by that, like, we know that the Republican Party, they're looking towards tyranny. They don't believe in democracy anymore. Someone's got to say that out loud. And women that are rich and are in their nice $2 million home or whatever in some neighborhood, they feel secure, like if there's a moat. There's no moat. I mean, what good is having a Ferrari if there's no road to drive it on? And here's the anecdote that I thought about. When you look at history, and this is something Americans have to think about, all empires come and go. All empires come and go. Let me say that one more time. All empires come and go. The United States is not going to be any different from any other empire. If you think of the French Revolution, what good was it for that French millionaire at the time to see his grandchild guillotined because the system collapsed? Perhaps maybe as he saw that guillotine chop off his grandchild's head, he said, wow, maybe I should have given a little bit that way and not just keep it all for myself and my family. When the Russian Revolution took place, how many rich Russians, when they saw their grandchild shot in the street, and then thought at that moment, as the Tsar had a split and Lenin took over, how many rich millionaire Russians thought to themselves at the very moment when they saw their grandchild get shot in the street, that perhaps it would have been better off if they would have given a little bit more that way instead of taking it this way? Let's look at Cuba. How many Cubans had to run for their lives to Miami when Fidel did what he needed to do? How many Cubans would have wished, as they ran through their lives on a boat or a plane, or got to Miami and then watched the television set and saw their grandchild get shot in the street, might have said to themselves, maybe I should have gone a little bit this way than taking it all this way. And who's to say that won't happen here in America? Right now we have so many billionaires now. Forget about millionaires, billionaires. And now we have 1/10 of 1%, I think, owning, according to Bernie Sanders, 90% of the wealth. 1/10 of 1%. Let me say it again. Owning 90% of the wealth. So what happens if the system collapses? What good is having those billions and millions if all of a sudden you're going to then see your grandchild hung because there's a revolt? That's what the Republican Party is espousing right now. So when I use the abortion issue to make my point, the abortion issue is just the beginning of a party, the GOP, usurping rights of one gender, women, with respect to abortion. And it's just the beginning. The slope is beyond slippery. And white women out there listening to this, believe me, the moat isn't deep enough or big enough or wide enough to protect you. And it ties in, I'm using the abortion issue because that's the one that's prevalent today. The abortion, having an abortion, that right being taken away. And women supporting it. That's what's beyond belief. Think about it. And, well, think about it carefully. So when you vote next time, let this be a warning for the GOP. This word should get out. Gerrymander all you want. Make it hard to vote all you want. There are more women than men in this country. And if just half, or a little bit more than half of all the women in this country realize that they just can no longer vote for the Republican Party, they can cheat all they want. They're going to lose every election by 5 to 10 points. Oh well. Cut.
Action.
Well, and now for a commercial break. I couldn't resist that. But I hope you find this interesting. This is the beginning. I like to make 2 or 3 of these every week from now on with respect to whatever's going on in the world, in particular our country, first and foremost. And if you like what you hear, then feel free to subscribe, like first, even if you dislike, and then subscribe.